Did I forget something? I think I forgot something. Is this music chill? This is the chill EDM channel. Hi, it's me, Scott. Hello. Streaming a little later than I meant to today, but we're better late than never, I suppose. I've been thinking a lot about what we're doing with this channel points stuff and the event API and all of that, and I'm kind of at a minor loss. And the reason I'm at a minor loss is because I kind of, after thinking about it a lot, this new API doesn't really offer anything new in terms of functionality, like things you can do. The things you could do with it, I feel like you generally could do before, with a chatbot or something. The points are interesting, and the way that it's restricted to viewers, that's nice that Twitch does that part for you, but you probably could have done that already with a bot. The thing is, so it makes that part easier, and it makes it relatively easy to add these rewards, on the back end in the dashboard. But like actually doing all this stuff is kind of tedious and annoying. And so if my goal here is to make something that people can use, I'm just slightly at a loss of what I would want to do that isn't tedious and annoying. Like this song, for example, is tedious and annoying. So I'm going to skip it. It was a little too distracting. So yeah, so one thought, I had a few thoughts. One thought is like, what if we did a thing where we use the channel points API, and I just basically made it a tool for broadcasters, and it would be easy, for example, for them to set up a channel reward that plugs directly into a if this then that workflow. So they could, like, if you're not familiar with if this then that, it's a way to just like chain a bunch of services together. So you can say like, oh, if I get someone mentions me in a tweet, open my garage door, whatever, just silly integrations like that. Much of it's based on notifications though, which isn't super useful in this context. There's a fair amount of home automation stuff, which could maybe be interesting, but like, I feel like a lot of people are going to do that kind of stuff for this contest, I think. The nice thing about the if this then that solution is then you wouldn't, my tool could be kind of agnostic, and it could just be a tool that helped you make these, helped you set it up. But I don't really like making tools. I don't really like making things that are useful. So not crazy about that idea. And then even just thinking about what I would want to do, if I came up with some fun, weird idea, I still have to host it somewhere or set up. I mean, actually, maybe the smart thing maybe would be to, like set up a DigitalOcean droplet, and people could pay for the hosting themselves, or something like that. And I would get a commission. I don't know. I keep saying a lot. Do you know? I don't know if you know. I'm just not sure. And so in a situation like this, when I'm not quite sure, I think I'll just work on some of the peripheral things, like some bits and pieces around the edges while I shop for wallpaper. I'm into this. I think first try we got good wallpaper. And basically just kind of clean up and tighten what we've done already without worrying immediately about what the aim is. So let's go to Glitch. I did like working locally in Visual Studio more than working in the Glitch editor, but because all this is based on webhook callbacks and stuff like that, that's annoying to do locally. There's ways to do it. For the time being, I'm going to stick with Glitch just because it makes things easy. But if it gets too annoying, maybe I will try it a different way. Like use ngrok or something to forward all the webhook stuff to me. So, what have we done? What have we actually done here? So we've just been kind of cramming all this stuff, and the bot made this. And the thing we did yesterday was to wrap it into a module. And I think there's still a ton we could do to tidy that up, but I don't know that I think it's super important to do that at this point. Like there's these things like constants that are hard-coded that we should be passing in. There's these environmental variables that really should probably be passed in. But this is not a bad start, I think. So in general, we can like subscribe, unsubscribe, that thing. I realized, you know, we're actually using a few different APIs here because we're not just using, and so we are using the event sub API to say, hey, I want to make a subscription, subscribe me to these different things. Like I edited the channel or somebody redeemed something. And that is all through event sub stuff. So that's how we subscribe through event sub. Authentication is its own thing. That's through this ID Twitch. This different endpoint, this endpoint here. But the listing I was thinking about, because we want to do some stuff that is not just a listen. We need to, for example, we want to mark certain, whatever they're called, rewards as redeemed when we get them. So I think that's the next thing I want to try to figure out how to do today. Oops. Because as we saw, there's we're never going to find this. Not on Bing, at least. As we saw, when the channel point redemption first comes through, they're not marked as redeemed, and it seems that some of those things get auto redeemed. Introducing channel points redemption pubs and token. So here's the thing, though. I don't think, and this is a bit confusing, your ability to subscribe. No, we don't want pub sub. We want event sub. Not pub sub. Event sub is what we've been using. But I don't think in the event sub, you can list subscriptions and things like that, but and you can get the alerts for this thing here, when someone redeems something. But you can't, I mean, it's just informational. It's just telling you, hey, this thing happened, which is good because then you can respond to it. But you can't tell Twitch after the fact, hey, we're all good. Status, that's what it's called. So status is unfulfilled. Maybe redeem is the wrong word. We'll say fulfill. So we need to fulfill those. And this API is not the way to do that. So separately down here, I think there is a way to do that. But I don't know how. So we're going to figure it out together, maybe. Channel points create custom rewards, delete custom rewards, get a custom reward. That's interesting. Okay. So we know we can recreate them, we know we can delete them, and that's kind of interesting because I was thinking it might be cool to have dynamic channel rewards that were just evolving. We can get a list of all the channel rewards. Returns custom reward redemption objects for a custom reward on a channel that was created by the same client entity. So I'm a little confused about that one. I guess this is a way to poll for this instead of having to do the webhook thing. List custom reward redemptions for a specific channel. So can I see all of them? get and update redemptions for the rewards created programmatically by the same client entity. That's interesting. So does that mean I can't redeem some things this way? Read redemptions. But that's not what we want anyway. We want to do this. I think this is what we want to try to do. Update a custom reward created on a channel. Only rewards programmatically. That's a little weird though. So does that mean, oh my gosh, Lilybite. Where have you been all my life? Life is yours. Do I need a break? Did that pop up? Wait, did it work? Did it pop up on screen when you did that? Lily, how are you? I'm back, kind of. I don't know how it's going. I mean, here's too much information. I decided to stop seeing my therapist, so instead I'm streaming on Twitch. So you are my therapist now. Actually, the two of you are my therapists, Lily and Life is Yours. So wait, if I do the thing, I need a break, redeem. Why didn't that appear on the screen? Oh, we did it. Okay, I did. It works. Okay. Well, I don't want to pressure you, but you do have to, like, you know, fix me in every way. So that's, yeah, and I need you to solve all of my problems. So no pressure. Just you know, if anything bad happens, it's definitely your fault. So I want that to be clear. Okay, so. Oh, that is true. That is a good dynamic, actually. Life is yours. You. Yeah, this is good. It's a little bit. It's like yin and yang a little bit. So how do I do that thing where I can see the rewards and whether or not they've been redeemed? Because what this sounds like is I can only mark them as redeemed if I am if my software is the one that creates them, which I guess is fine. But it doesn't mean I can redeem rando rewards, presumably. But there's some way, I don't know what the way is. The way to see the list, the reward request queue is this. Pop out. Okay, I need a break. So these are not marked as redeemed, and normally you would have to manually do it, and that seems annoying and dumb. So instead of doing that, we're going to try to write the thing that does it, and in the process, maybe clean up how some of our requests works. What's interesting, so this is a whole other API endpoint though. This is like totally separate from the subscription land we've been in, and it does look like we need new permissions that we currently don't have, and I didn't really save the thing that I did yesterday to get the permissions, but maybe we'll formalize that a little bit today. Maybe? I don't know. Sometimes this just seems really boring. We gotta come up with something to do. Maybe I should get some pet fish and you can use channel rewards to feed the fish. Maybe we should have virtual fish that just float around on the screen and you can name them things like Nigel and Richard and Amaryllis and Penelope. We could water my plants. I don't know. I did have some ideas for this thing that would be like an automated art channel, but I don't know if that's gonna win contest. Lily, we're trying to win a contest here. We're trying to win $10,000. Last time we won $1,000 and that was pretty good, but now we want 10,000. You could name them. That's a thing. These things apparently support parameters, but then I'm sure people would name them horrible things. Unless they were just named after the username of the person, then maybe that would be okay. Yeah, maybe we'll make a fish tank today, just because we have to do something. So first, let's do the redeem thing, and then if we feel good about the redeem thing, we will... So what do I mark these as? I'm learning some things actually from this that I think are a bit interesting, because this update redemption status, there's an HTTP patch, and I didn't know about that. I don't think I ever knew about that. Like, in addition to get and push and delete, you can patch values. I just didn't know that was part of the protocol. So that's Fancy. So let's complete all these. Complete. So is complete the word we want? Fulfilled. I can't wait to be fulfilled. This is going to be great. I can push a button and just fulfill everything. So we'll just make a thing that is this thing. And it's actually not really appropriate to stick it in the pub sub land, probably, but I'm going to stick it in the pub sub land for now. And then we can always refactor later. So we're going to have an update redemption status. Really, this should be in channel points land. I mean, we'll probably rename this whole class eventually. Lily, are you still in Godot land all the time? All Godot all the time? Here's a funny thing about this, though, that I'm actually not crazy about. I mean, there's plenty of things about this that I don't like, but the thing that is especially weird to me is that this particular query, you have to pass some stuff. There's like 2 parameters that go in the query string, 3 headers, and then a JSON content in the body. And I don't really understand why. But let's just try to piece it together in a way that isn't. We'll try to make it a little less annoying than it is. Let's also make this less annoying than it is. I realize when I do this, I'm editing the live version of Bot Made This, so Bot Made This will be broken because Twitch auto saves constantly. Sorry, Glitch auto saves. Can I disable auto saves actually? Refresh app on changes? I don't know if I want to do that. Modhood, you've ascended. The apotheosis of Lily. So we need a URL. I don't like the way we were doing query strings before, so we're just going to come up with a new strategy for query strings, I think. So Bot Made This is just going to be broken while we work on this, but that I also don't care. Oh, this fluid layout is going to break my heart, isn't it? Because every time I size this web browser, it's going to stop showing me the thing I was looking at moments before. Right? Okay, so from the... Yeah, we're now looking at something totally different than what we were looking at before. Great. We want an update, a redemption status. That's what we want to do. So let's just make a note that we require this. And then in our query string, what do we need? We need ID, broadcaster ID, and reward ID. The body needs to be JSON that's like with a status. So it can be either fulfilled or canceled. We want to be fulfilled always. And we presumably need all of our header values. Well, we at least need client ID, authorization, content type. Which we have been sending elsewhere. So this is actually already correct, right? Oh, in the method, because this is method patch, which is kind of cool. Actually, you know, as annoying as all of this is, that's a cool thing to learn, because I did not know that. So we'll call that a minor success. Maybe it's a thing I've seen in the past, but I don't think I've ever used that in my life. Do you think it matters that the headers are capitalized because elsewhere in the documentation the C and the I were capitalized? I don't know. Hard to say. So this data is wrong. Do I really want to pass this like 45 parameters for all these things that it needs to take? I guess. What is the ID in the query string? ID of the custom reward redemption to update must match a custom reward redemption on... Yeah. How is that separate from the what? Wait. Okay, there's an ID for the redemption, and there's an ID for the reward itself, and then there's the ID of my channel. This is going to be annoying. This is always annoying. Okay, so there's so many variables that we need to know about. So do I want to pass them one by one? Or do I just want to like make an object? You know, that's just like options. Or args, whatever. And this would be like options dot custom reward redemption ID. So that's the reward ID. This is the ID of the... Good grief. The redemption ID? I spell redemption properly? Is there a way to get... What's the way to do that? To get certain fields from a... Oh no. I was thinking the deconstruction stuff, the newish deconstruction stuff. There's probably a more concise way to do this now, but we'll just do this. So there's a redemption ID, a broadcaster ID, and a reward ID. And then I'm going to start passing these things in. So we'll pass in the client ID, yet another ID. And we will pass in... The access token is here. That is actually correct. So, you know, do something like let options. Yeah, that's the that works with objects and arrays, but it's I don't want all the fields. I only want some. I want a subset of it, of the fields. And I know how to do that to just split them out, but to split them out and then immediately kick them, like stick them right back into another object. I don't know. And the thing where you don't have to put the name, I don't think it works if it's in another object like this. Like I could break that out up here. I could break it out into all the individual things and just use it that way. And then not have that redundancy, I guess. But at that point, if it's all explicit, I might as well just explicitly require them all as parameters. I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. Is broadcaster ID? Yeah, that's different than client ID. Yeah. Yeah, but if I did that to break out those, there's kind of no point in doing it this way. Like if I'm going to break them out into individual variables anyway, I should just pass them through. I don't know which one I think is more concise, since I need like subsets of the object. I mean, I don't know. I'm not really gaining anything by this unless I reuse that object. You know, then it might be useful to it. But otherwise, it's actually not that useful. So maybe I will just do all this. And also a client ID. And status. So now in these I really could just do stuff like that. And for all these, could just do, I don't know. I normally, there's like a, I don't have a rule of thumb, but there's just kind of some maximum list of arguments I like to have to a method before I just to say, oh, I'm going to pass in a data structure and then not have to do it. But that's only useful really if you're going to reuse that data structure. Oh, I don't think I knew about that nested thing, but that doesn't, I don't think that quite solves my problem here. I think this is fine. I think this does what I want. Lily wants to destroy all. I mean, deconstruct. Basically destroy. So once we have this, we can do our fun baby here, except we need a way to what error? What are you mad about? I forget a comma, probably? Yes. So we need a way to turn our query string into this. I know there's a node module for that. We could just do a string join, I guess. Or like, yeah, like go through the objects, but I think we just use this. Is there a way to create a query string? I don't want to parse it. I want to create one. Stringify. Stringify is an object and returns a query string. Yeah. So we'll take that query string. Not you, you. And when we do our fetch, I know Life is Yours hates this because it wants it to be async. Let's async it. Why not? Fetch. Okay, so what we would need then is URL plus. I don't actually know. Query string dot stringify query. I guess we just call this query. But is there a, I wonder if it puts a question mark in front of it. I don't know if it does. We have a method, we have a body, we have headers, so we're all good. Oh, I see what you mean. Pass an object, but split them here. Yeah, I could do that. Do I like that better? I don't know if I actually like that any better. That's certainly good for optional things. Let's try it. Let's see if we like it. Maybe we'll love it. So... my indent's all crazy. So if this happens, I should have a result. It was the response it sends JSON? I can't remember. Yes. So really, we probably do want to keep this. Then we'll get our result will be something like that. Yeah, I did, but none of these are optional. I think it's good if they're optional, but in this case, nothing's optional, but maybe that will be a useful pattern elsewhere. So this is definitely not going to work to start with for a lot of reasons. The main reason probably being this. So how do I want to create the URL? Basically, I have to like manufacture that interpolating what? What are you talking about? The create the URL that gives us this permission. We did it yesterday. Let me switch back here for a second and look at. Hopefully that's still just in Postman. Do what? What do you mean by interpolating the URL string? Okay, so we have this response fight, channel read redemptions. Those are actually supposed to be space separated. So if I do read redemptions and then add channel manage redemptions, did it does, didn't URL encode that? Why not? Why not? You call that interpolating? Interpolate to me means move between two values. I hate that format. I don't like that. I don't like that format. It's so counter to everything else we're doing, like cramming stuff in the middle of text and cramming data in the middle of plain text. I don't like. Like in every other case, we're using an object that is like easily defined. I don't really like that. Just cram values into a string very much. At least not the way JavaScript does it. Yeah, but I don't have to do that if I do this. I mean, I could do that here. That wouldn't be very useful, but this is literally concatenating the two things. So if I'm only concatenating two things, this is much less verbose than what you're proposing. And then I can have a well-defined object instead of some string that is easy to make typos in. Because you don't know. You don't know if there's a typo in your string until you try to do something with it. Could be total nonsense. Not that JavaScript is horrible at this particular kind of thing anyway, but at least I would know, like, if I was missing a comma here, or rather up here or something. I think this is more concise. There's other ways I could have written that, but I think this does the job. I think it's tidier, and I think it's more robust. So, did I show, I think, oh, I'm not showing the screen. Sorry. Wait, let me make sure this thing isn't secret, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. That's the client ID. Okay, sorry. This, doing this thing. Actually having a well-defined object, and then just concatenating using a thing that makes it into a string for me. I prefer that, I think. Because with that like string substitution, the way JavaScript does it, there's just too much room for error. Other languages I don't mind, like where you have whatever, sprintf or whatever, where you're like substituting variables in at places. But the JavaScript way is kind of gross. Okay, I don't think any of these values are secret. The thing that's a little annoying here is I would have hoped that this would URL encode for me, but it doesn't URL encode for me. Which is a touch annoying, but not the biggest deal. Maybe when I paste it in a browser, it'll be fine. So I need to stick this in a browser. And the thing I need to be careful of, though, is it is going to show an access token on screen. So I'm going to be careful of that. Okay, manage channel points, customer rewards, and their redemptions on your channel. View channel points, customer rewards, and their redemptions on your channel. Authorize. Okay, I think we got authorized. And I should just put a note of that URL up here because I kind of feel like we're going to need to add more. I don't think any of that is secret. I don't think the client ID is secret. It's going to be sad if I learn that it is, but I don't think it is. The main reason I think it's not secret is they don't give you away Okay, what are we doing? So now we want to actually try to use this thing, and it's going to be sort of annoying to do that. But basically, when we get... we got to decide when we want to redeem. Right now, we're kind of doing this in a silly way, and we're basically saying, hey, we got it. Let's just pass it through. So this is maybe this is the place where we want to redeem? Redeem? Or fulfill, I guess is the language that they use. It is kind of blowing my mind that this is partially... there we go, that's better. I had like some 2-space indentations and some 4-space indentations. So what we would need to do... you know what? I don't like this. Because then I have to... every time I want to say what something is, I have to pass all the variable names too. And I don't really want to do that. I want to just basically do this and call it directly. So it would be basically... and then we have to figure out what all the nonsense is. Like we've got to figure out... And I guess that wouldn't be the worst thing to specify those. I don't know. I can't decide. Ugh. I'm going to change my mind again. Let's try it and see if I like it or not. I don't know if I like it or not. I mean, you can... What? What are you talking about? Like reset the tabs? You can reset tabs in Visual Studio. You can't reset them here. I just did format and it just switched everything to 2 spaces. But it's very blunt. You don't have a lot of control over what that format does. So we need I mean, I could, but the entire file was wrong. The file was like 90% 4 spaces. So I could have, but the indentations would have been wrong everywhere. So and it would be multiple levels of incorrect indentations. You know, I could do this and tab this back and forth as a block. Yeah, you always use spaces. What's wrong with spaces? Do you insist on indenting with tabs? You a Python programmer? It used to, I feel like I used to matter and I used to care, but now I don't care anymore because your editor can decide. It's very easy for your editor to decide. I mean, I can hit tab and it will put 2 spaces in, but at the end of the day, it's going to be, the file gets saved with spaces. Okay, so ID, I already forgot what it means. I forgot what everything means. We're already doing this, so let's just we just need an example of the data structure so we can see what comes out. Why is that an app status error? That's weird. Lily, thanks for stopping by. I mean, I almost don't even think about that stuff anymore because Visual Studio Code I just have set to format on save, and so I spend very little time actually thinking about formatting now. So we just want to do one of these and have it log, I guess, and see what we get, which I think it will work. If I redeem one of our custom guys, I need a break. Redeem. So this is the data that we get from that. Hopefully there's nothing secret in it. I don't think there is. So, okay, this is the part that's like going to blow my mind a little bit, trying to figure out what means what. This is the reward ID. This is the subscription ID. This is the event ID. It didn't say anything about an event ID. The ID of the custom reward redemption to update. GX2, no, that's client ID. So ID equals 27 for whatever. No, that's the broadcaster ID. Reward ID. Wait, I thought there was just ID was the thing we're supposed to pass. There it is. ID is 17 whatever. So is that the event ID? In this context? I know I broke myself, it's true. I guess so. I guess. ID is the ID of the custom reward redemption. This is the ID of the reward. So this is the redemption. So this, I think this is the ID we want because this is the redemption. So I think it's data.event.id is the ID we want. Maybe. And then the broadcaster ID, is that in here? Broadcaster user ID or user ID? User ID is the person who did it. So I need the broadcaster ID. Provided by broadcaster ID must match user ID in the auth token. Wait, must match user ID? I'm gonna try just data.event.broadcaster user ID. This is already so obnoxious because these things don't match up. So then the reward ID is what is actually inside the reward. So that's data, what? Data.event.reward. Data.event.reward.id. Oh, I should be looking at this one. Data event reward ID. This is the actual reward ID. Client ID is, right now we're getting from the environment, but we probably want to change that at some point. And then the status we want is fulfilled. Fulfilled. Right? Did I get yours? Let's see. I mean, I'm in the middle of typing stuff, so it's probably broken. There you are. So there's the broadcaster ID. There's your user ID. You're unfulfilled. Sad to say. Okay, so now I'm going to call this thing what is this called? Update redemption status. So now if we try Red Dead Redemption, I need a break, redeem. Update redemption status not found, status 404. 404 means no custom reward redemptions with the specified IDs were found with a status of unfulfilled. I should log those parameters. Because it seems very likely that I screwed this up. And then in this side, wait, I thought I changed this back to being an object. Did I not? That's an object. Okay, so that would explain it, potentially. And pass the options. Okay. We should probably add the... I don't know if I'm getting in trouble for doing this. Like, we should probably add a thing where we don't add new subscriptions if the subscription is already there, but I'm gonna ignore that for now. Okay, so I need a break. Redeem. Did we guess wrong about what some of these numbers mean? Okay, so first one is ID, is the ID of the custom reward redemption. So I think that is the event ID, which is 9211, 9211. So that seems right. Broadcaster ID must match the user ID in the Auth token? Whatever. Broadcaster ID is the broadcaster ID. Reward ID is supposed to be the ID of the custom reward, which should be inside here, and that's B, yes. And then client ID, I believe, is my proper client ID. That is hopefully not a secret. I think it's not a secret. Which is DQ, yes. And status is fulfilled. So why did that not work? They're saying that a 404 means that I didn't find that. But if I look at my little friend here, I should, you know, should be that one, right? It should be this one. Wish I could see the status from here, but of course I can't. So, I guess we need to go logging. Well, okay, we can try the thing now. Let's just also do like a list redemptions, I guess, while we're at it. Because wasn't there a thing that was... I think this will list all my redemptions, all my Red Dead redemptions. Optional query parameters. Okay, that's interesting though, because you know, actually, you know what? Yeah, that's why I left one that wasn't fulfilled. But it looks like I can see them all. So you could really do this with polling. You could do this, all that event stuff that we went through to set up the webhooks and all that stuff. You could do this without that. You could just poll and set the start date every time you poll. Like move it, yeah, that's like your cursor. So, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Webhook stuff is not as flexible as I would like, for sure. So we have this update redemption status. Let's also do get custom reward redemption, even though it's plural. Asionk. Get custom reward redemption. It will also probably take an object, I guess. And it seems like a much simpler query because it's just a get and just wants this other stuff that we already know about. I bet you can see the fulfilled ones. I bet it'll show them all. So get custom reward redemption, and so we're gonna do all this fun stuff. Basically this same thing. In fact, I should probably abstract this out because we're gonna have so many queries that are kind of like this, but for now I'm not gonna worry about it too much. So we will have that, which is the same URL. We will have a query. Similar to our other query, but this query only cares about broadcaster ID and reward ID. not the other ID that I already forgot what that ID even means. So we'll pass the broadcaster ID, we'll pass the reward ID, and what else will we do? We will... Method in this case is just a get. Headers in this case, it looks like we need... I think we only need the client ID, and the authorization. I don't have quotes around authorization here. Is that a problem? So we want similar headers, but without a content type. So we have a client ID. Client ID is something we will also pass. I wonder if these queries, if the names of things will line up a little better since it's the same endpoint. That might be wishful thinking. Okay, so we have all this stuff, and we have a status. And in this case, the status can be whatever we want. And it is not part of the, it doesn't go in the body this time, which is weird. So same API, same endpoint, same everything. In one call, you put the status in the query string, and in the call immediately, documented immediately after it, you put the status in the body in a JSON object. Why? Why do you do that? Okay, and then this thing is going to be basically exactly the same. Except this is a custom reward redemption. That's really plural, but we'll ignore that. And then, so let's just call this directly, because I think I know all this stuff. Like, can we just... over here, after we do we could list the unfulfilled rewards. How do I keep getting into insert mode? There's some weird thing that happened. I don't know what I hit. I didn't hit the insert key. Okay, so what does this want? It wants these things. Which I guess I'll just hard code for now. All that stuff was in here, right? I guess broadcaster user ID means broadcaster ID. I guess reward ID is this, the ID describing the reward. This is just... I guess my broadcaster ID, I could figure that out. Or I may already have an environmental variable for that. I'm not sure. And then status would be unfulfilled. Is that true? Status unfulfilled should show me all unfulfilled friends. Excuse me? Body is not defined? Oh yeah, body is not defined. That's true. We didn't have to define a body for that. So I guess we just don't. Seems like it doesn't matter. Or this guy that's gonna list. We just don't need a body. Get custom reward redemption 404 not found. So this sounds like no custom reward redemptions with the specified IDs were found. Really? I wonder if my URL, actually, that could be true. Maybe my URL logic here is dumb and I messed up with the way I did the query. That could have been the problem before too, in theory. ID, reward ID, status. Are you sure? List reward redemptions for a specific reward. Does this seem dramatically different from the value we just got? So this is the query string I manufactured versus the query string that's in their documentation. Oh. It doesn't. When you tell it to make a query string for you, it doesn't add the question mark. That's pretty silly. I think I don't like that. I think when you ask for a query string, you should get a question mark. Call me old-fashioned. So maybe our old thing actually did work, and we just need this, which I think looks sloppy and silly, but whatever. Guess we could do a join with that as the separator, but that means you go here. How did that work at all then? That is it's the least of my worries with how annoying all this other stuff is. Maybe there's some parameter to automatically do it. Okay. Missing user Oauth token. Really? Because missing user Oauth token, is that different than? I'm saying this .access token for the bearer, which is what I'm doing everywhere else. Okay, let me log those headers and see if I'm doing something super silly. I did add quotes around authorization because quotes are around everything else. Maybe I wasn't supposed to. Headers, authorization, bearer. Why doesn't this work? Why doesn't this work? Oh wait, I showed a token. I think I showed a token that I wasn't supposed to show. Did I? I don't know if it was on screen or not. Oh no. We're all safe. Okay. I don't actually know how to revoke those, like you normally would. Authorization bearer. That's not a user. Oh, this might be that confusing thing again, where there's like the user tokens and the app tokens. Does this have to be a user? I wouldn't think so, because I did that permission thing. Okay, so at any rate, it seems like we have headers. I guess I should be safe and revoke that token. Revoking access tokens. To clean up previously obtained access token, use the token revocation endpoint. Okay, give me 1 second. I have to clean up my mess as usual. That one was just my fault. Oh, I bet I can just do this. Twitch.tv. Sorry, just need a moment to fix my... so that some malicious YouTube person doesn't try to take over the world using my token. To be safe, I'll just make a new client ID or client secret. Okay, new secret. Save. Success. I'll probably end up accidentally showing this anyway. So that'll be great. Client secret. Okay. I'm confused when you talk about Jetpack, because Jetpack is in my mind just like a WordPress thing. I don't know that I know anything about Jetpack and Android. I've never heard of it. That's interesting. I basically never, I don't ever write native Android stuff unless it's a Unity plugin, and then it doesn't have a UI. So maybe I'll use this someday, but probably not. Okay, so what's wrong now? So that was the old token. That was back in the old days. And now we're going to be secure instead. And I took out the logging of that. Okay, great. So why doesn't it think we have any redemptions? We put in the stuff that seemed right. Some say, legend has it. Why, life is yours, missing user Oauth token? Is there something funny about that I just missed in the headers? I guess that's possible. Channel points, get custom reward redemption. It says client ID and authorization. And we have method is get, headers are client ID and authorization. We're doing those headers. We have the question mark in the query string. We have the method. The response should be JSON. Why would it say that I'm missing user Oauth token? That's a little weird. That it says it's the missing user Oauth token. Broadcaster ID must match the user ID in the auth token. That worries me. Just make up a token. Well, what I think is the issue, I think this actually is, this might need user authentication. Not, this might require a user token. Like if we do the event sub stuff and look at that instead, let's see what it says. Like event sub, create an event sub subscription. It wants an app access token. But the API to redeem, to update a redemption status, that would sure suck. That would be really stupid and it would suck. It would suck. It would suck. But that seems to be true. The query parameter broadcaster ID must match the user ID in the user token. So this is not app authentication. This is a user access token. So these commands require different tokens. It's create the reward. I think it would be the same issue because I think this API, this isn't the event sub API. This is the whatever normal Twitch API endpoints that are specifically for channel, and they all seem to be here. So this has to be like the user authentication token, which I know how to get, but it's another token. And it's the one that has to go through the browser process and then like hit a callback. It's real dumb. It's annoying. It just has to come from my client ID. Not the creation of the reward, the creation of the redemption. I believe. That it is, that the problem is the redemption. I mean, that as long as the redemption comes from my client ID, it's fine. But it's the update here, which seems kind of dumb. It seems like there is no user ID in the access token I have. The access token I have is an app access token. So when we did our authentication up here, we did it with a client ID and a client secret, we would have to do the other authentication, which is this one up here. And then it would give me a user token, I believe. This is the other. They sure look the same though. Yeah, this is authorized endpoint and this is the token endpoint. I think that's what's up. So I could get that. I don't want to. I mean, either way, you do have to authorize at some point. I just didn't want to store that token too, especially because that token expires, I'm pretty sure. Like types of tokens, this thing. We want a user access token. We did this, so we only have an app access token. We don't have one of these. So we could do one of these kinds of flow. There's OAuth authorization code and OAuth implicit. And I don't actually know the difference between those two. I get maybe there's one where you don't have to go through the browser. Like any of these 4 flows should give us the thing we need. Yeah, so you've got to send someone in a browser. So that's OAuth 2 authorized, which is where that was the thing I did earlier. This one is OAuth implicit. Send the user want to authenticate to your registered redirect URL. An authorization page will ask the user to sign up or log into Twitter. How? What? How does that work? I don't think I understand the difference between these. Okay. Gets ID tokens and optional user access tokens. What is the difference? Okay, these are just... It's just a more secure token. So what is this flow? I mean, the Twitch API, so many services I've done have these same kind of problems. It's just, I feel like the Twitch API, the documentation is never quite clear. Or they like use different words in different places or different, you know, like where it's just not, there's just always something a little bit wrong with it. Like the way this is phrased makes no sense. Send the user to, I want to authenticate to my registered redirect URL. You mean a redirect URL that will redirect them to here? Like what does that mean? In this redirect URL is where you go on the other end, where you're done. So you don't send someone there. The flow sends them there. I don't understand that. And what's the difference between implicit and authorization code? Not really. Okay, implicit code flow. Your app does not use a server. This approach does not require a server that must make requests to the API. So that would be like client side. So actually, this is what you should use when you're doing client side Twitch stuff, I guess. And then the authorization, your app uses a server, can securely store a client secret and make server to server code flow. So I should use the authorization code flow. I don't guess I care if it's OAuth or OIDC. Do I? Claims, scope. So it's whether or not I do claims or scope. So I guess I do this. So I would do this. So this is the thing we've done. We did this already. So let me be secretive again and get yet another. Well, this will be actually quite annoying to set up for other people to be able to use it. Am I getting shorter, or is my camera just aimed a little? That's better. I thought it was shrinking. Maybe I'm shrinking. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. And then I have an access token. And then we'll add a new. So this is my user access token. So this is like kind of different. An access token for me as the user of this, not the... Oh boy, okay. And just triple check, what did I call that? I called it access underscore token. Okay, let's go here. So what I believe that means is when we do this thing, we actually want this, which I don't like. Not crazy about that. Like, I gave the app permission to do these things. Why can't it do them? Right? Unless there's just truly some... Okay, I got a forbidden this time. Maybe I didn't do it right. Maybe that's not true. Maybe I'm just bad at this, but I feel like, you know, we've done stuff on stream in the past with other APIs, and it never feels quite as painful as it does with Twitch. I mean, AWS sucked, for sure, for sure. We figured it out, but I don't know, something about it. Like, Twitch always seems... So we want to do this. Broadcaster ID must match the user ID in the user access token. I think it does. I just made that user access token. What did it say? If I get a 40... The customer reward was created by a different client ID, or channel points are not available for the broadcaster. What? I have a broadcaster ID, which should be, oh boy, is that different? Is broadcaster ID different? Like, is this not my, okay, let me double check something. That's the channel ID. That different than my user ID? I don't think it is. Broadcaster ID, reward ID, client ID. What a obnoxious thing. Okay, what are we missing here? We're going here. We're passing broadcaster ID. Presumably me. And they're saying that it's supposed to match the user ID of the access token, which I assume it would. Okay, maybe there's a way to see this actually. If I just do another one of these, I need a break. Redeem. Broadcaster ID and user ID are the same. It's possible I screwed up in making that token, but this doesn't say like the token was invalid. This is saying that quest body was not parsable. That almost... Interesting. That almost seemed like that worked, but maybe not. You know, we're trying to do two things here. We're trying to just list every time we start, but we're also trying to do the thing where we redeem. And that was a different error than I expected. Do I need to stringify my body? Oh, I do. Okay. That's one problem. I don't know if that's going to fix anything, but that does appear to be an issue. So get out of here. Yeah. So I think let's try this two ways, and I think it's going to be broken both ways, but let's just try it. So if we try, I need a break, redeem, missing user Oauth token. And so then we say, great, let me instead give you this user access token. And we try to do the same thing. Instead, I think we're going to get a 403. I think. Is it just me? Maybe it's so obvious. Yeah. Custom rewards was created by a different client ID. But I don't think that's true. Here's the client ID that was used to create it. This is the client ID. No, sorry, that's what we were sending. Because when we do that update redemption status, I mean, how could the client ID be wrong? And we're logging those options. So this is what we're saying. Let me double check it. Client ID, let's see. Dev.twitch.tv, my console here. My client ID is a nice set of numbers. Yeah, that's the client ID. So custom reward was created by a different client. Does that mean it's valid, or like could that also mean that the client ID I put, or one of the other many IDs I put in were wrong? Hard to say, right? I mean, because that kind of it's hard to say. Like, it's weird to say these are two very different kinds of problems. Like, you just don't have channel points, or the reward was created. But does that mean that it's invalid? Like, maybe I just have the numbers wrong. Like, I think this is the reward ID. I think. Do I have to put that? Can I say just give me everything? When ID is not provided, this parameter returns paginated customer order for redemptions. Of the custom reward with ID. So either I have to give it the ID of a single one of these, like give me the one, or I should be able to give a reward ID that is for the reward itself, which I assume is this. Like, doesn't that seem like that would be it? It's also weird that it's not like... It seems like I get a 404 if the specified EDs weren't found. How can I know the reward? I guess I need to make another list that will list the rewards. That doesn't seem like a thing you can do. You can create them, you can delete them. You can get... Okay, here's a list of just the custom reward. So let's try another query. Let us get custom reward. That is a bummer. You would hope that screen reader functionality was built in. I don't know if I think I've talked about this before, that I seem to have some issues that I use screen reading very frequently, and I don't know if they're cognitive issues or eyeball issues or what, but I use it pretty frequently, and it is great on iOS and it is great on macOS, because just basically anywhere I can hit a shortcut and whatever I have highlighted will be read to me. It is not good on other platforms. It is not good on Windows. The Windows screen reader is insane because I just want it to read highlighted text, and there doesn't seem to be a way to do that without it reading every other possible thing on the screen. I have this custom Chrome extension installed on Windows so that I can do this and have it read stuff to me. And this seemingly doesn't work right now.
Returns a list of custom reward objects for the custom rewards on a channel.
Developers
only have...
That was probably really loud. Sorry. Okay, let's try again. Get custom reward. We'll just implement the entire API, I guess. Get custom reward. Do it. Put a GitHub issue. Accessibility is important. Screen reader, it's an important thing. Okay, so what do we actually care about? The only parameter we seem to care about is the broadcaster ID. The URL, it's still a GET. It's still the same. No, it's just, excuse me. It's just custom rewards is this endpoint. We want method is get. Was there a query string parameter? Yes, and it is the broadcaster ID only. Slowly getting to the bottom of this, maybe. We'll try using these same headers with the user Oauth token that I still don't know if that's actually correct. And we'll do this whole song and dance here. That's good. 20 hours ago. It's nice to see. Okay, get custom reward, even though I feel like that. This is clearly plural. The endpoint is plural. They say get custom reward. I don't know, man. So we'll get the broadcaster ID, we'll do all the song and dance, get custom reward, or we'll log that. And then now we will try to just go here and no, not that. We want to do the thing. Now we do want the broadcaster ID. We want to only get custom reward. I'm going to just make those plural. What's the warning? What have I done? Oh yeah, I forgot. I was deciding that I did actually want to pass the client ID. So client ID we're saying comes later. And that's definitely part of the request, right? Client ID? Yeah, client ID is part of the request. Then we do this, and then we go here, and then we will say that we want you. And we'll do that. We'll do that. And we'll do that. Okay, that worked. What's funny is it's showing all of them, even like the Twitch ones, but I guess those still count as custom. Okay, live visitors, we actually got some data back. This is a real triumph. This is like the first thing we've done today that worked. I did not think this was going to take so long. What, an hour and a half? It feels like it should not have been that hard after going through all the annoying things already. So I need a break. This is the ID of I need a break. And I'm saying reward ID is that. And the broadcaster ID is that. And the client ID is the same client ID. So why does the first call work and the second call does not work? Why? 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 Broadcaster ID is identical. Reward ID, pretty sure was identical. We'll double check in a second. When we go here, we literally cut and pasted the headers, so the headers should be identical. We passed a reward ID and a status. Is the status breaking it? Maybe you're not supposed to give status if you're using the reward ID thing. That'd be dumb, but I guess wouldn't totally shock me. What if we just remove status since it is optional. Get custom reward. Wait, get custom reward redemption? Bad request. Missing redemption status. Okay, apparently I do need a status. Custom reward was created by a different client. What? Okay, broadcaster ID, reward ID, client ID, status. Do I have any dumb typos? Broadcaster ID, reward ID, status. Client ID. These things seem not unreasonable. Let's not do this one for a moment. Broadcaster ID, reward ID, status. Okay, scratch that. Actually, I do want to do this again just to quintuple check that my reward ID is this. Is the right reward ID. Hydrate. Wait, where'd it go? Where did my reward go? I need a break. This is the ID. It's the same. Broadcaster ID. It's the same. Client ID was the same one we just used. Status said get custom reward redemption. This says status is optional. This one just shows, this one, okay, this one shows, this example lists custom reward redemptions for a specific reward. So it's got broadcaster ID, reward ID, and status. This one has broadcaster ID, reward ID, ID, but no status. Definitely says status is optional. So why was it mad when I said status? But anyway, status, I said unfulfilled. Which I should have, all these should be unfulfilled. Right? Right? And permissions wise, this guy says requires Oauth scope, query parameter must match. Is that true for the other thing we just did? Yes. Channel read redemptions. That one was channel manage redemptions, right? Oh, we're not even editing yet. This is just listing, so no, we don't need to. Custom rewards / redemptions. What's different? What is not the same between these two calls? I don't like that it said that it was an error to not include status, because I thought it clearly said that status was optional. Not you, this one. query string, broadcaster reward ID. Headers is the client ID we passed in. Is there some problem here? I mean, I would not surprise me if it was some stupid JavaScript thing where it's just, I have some minor typo that any other language would be like, oh, you've got this minor problem here. I feel confident. I mean, this call worked. Like we used the API, we hit that endpoint, we used the authentication that we have, and it worked. So why are you a dummy? Custom reward was created. Is there some silly typo? Broadcaster, reward underscore ID, status. And it's saying this different one. This was created by a different client ID, or channel points were not. Like, custom reward was created. I don't know, Life Visuals. Maybe you were right. Maybe it is something about creating the reward, but that sounds super dumb if that's true. Because the language is a little bit inconsistent. Maybe you're right. I thought it meant, the way this is phrased, it's hard to tell if the reward redemption has to be created by the client ID or if the well, I thought that the reward, that it meant the reward maybe not. Maybe that's separate. I get it, but that seems really limiting. That means that's just making you do even more stuff. Well, but no, like, I feel like there's a better way to do this. I kind of see the point, but there's certainly a way they could have easily added that to the GUI. Yeah, you're probably right. But that's annoying because then I have to create it. I wonder how much stuff is required. Well, this is going to be annoying. So, yeah, I mean, I get that, and I'm totally fine with that. That makes sense to me. It's just, I feel like there should be a way to like authenticate that other than saying that I have to create it here, where I could, like, a way that I could create it in the GUI, in other words, and still have a way to access it, because I've given permission. I gave explicit permission to this, but I guess implicitly inside that explicit permission I gave is that the client ID has to match. Yes, it's still annoying, and it's annoying that I have to use then why do I have to use the user ID ever if it's like all scoped to the application? I mean the user access token, because they have given me permission. That part's annoying. It's all annoying. Okay. You are right. I believe you are right. I think this documentation could have made that more clear. The way this was phrased, actually, this in delete, it's a little more clear, I think. Okay. I get it. It makes sense. I just think they could have done it in a way that was less obnoxious. I mean, it's weird that it lists, I can still access all those other ones. I just can't. I can literally list all the other ones. Okay, so actually, wait a minute. I think it's stupider. I don't think it's okay. I don't think it makes sense because, yeah, but listen, it doesn't, I think it still doesn't make sense because I'm not trying to change it. I'm trying to just list them. So Twitch will let me list them all it doesn't care that it doesn't care who I am to list all of them. I have access to that, no problem. And I just want to list the redemptions, basically, which I have authorized this client ID to do. So I don't understand why I can't just list them. Yes, I can understand why I wouldn't be able to update them with the way they have things set up, but the listing doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, it says developers only have access to update and delete. No, wait, I need custom reward redemptions. So this one is get and update, not update and delete. Ugh. Okay, so with custom rewards, you can get them always, but you can only update and delete them if you made them. With custom reward redemptions, you can't get or update unless you were created with that. No, which is all I was trying to do. The first time I was trying to update them, and that's fine. But then I was trying to list them. You can't even list them. Even though I have given permission, that token has permission to do that. I get it. I wish they had done it in a different way. Because creating the channel reward, it's just yet another thing we have to do. They could have done this in such an easy way. They could have done this in a way where you didn't have to do any of this crap. They could have done it in such a way where you just go to your dashboard, make a custom reward, and put it in a URL for a webhook that you want them to call whenever the reward happens. And that's it. That's all you need. That's like, you wouldn't have to do any of this other stuff. And that's the way other platforms handle webhooks. I guess, okay, that's not entirely true. That's true for everything we did yesterday and the day before. For this, because we're actually trying to update something, you would need one other piece, but I still feel like that other piece could have been done in the GUI. Like if when you created it, it gave you like a token there or something, or like some key to use, or like a URL that had a key built into it, whatever. This is annoying. Okay, I guess we're gonna create one now. I'm gonna say that one was like 50% on me and 50% on questionable design choices. So our code is all right now. We did have a bug with the authentication, but we just have to do this now. Which is interesting, because is this true? All we need is this? So we need a create custom rewards. This one is for some reason plural, even though in all other cases they're using singular, even when it is plural. And this one only does a singular one. So they like to have their singular and plural designations backwards. Okay. So we want this. I guess. Oops. I don't know. Whatever. I mean, maybe, maybe other people use this API and they love it and they think it's great. Maybe it's just me. Truly, maybe it is me. I will say, like, this is not the kind of thing I do all day, every day. Like this particular kind of API integration, I just don't do that much. Maybe at a time in the past I did. So maybe everything they're doing is totally standard and everybody loves it, but I kind of don't think so. Okay, to create, all we need is a broadcaster ID. So this won't be too hard to implement. It's just annoying that we have to do it. Yeah, so it's same URL, same query string, the method, and actually probably same headers. Yeah, it's a user access token. So in fact, it's basically identical to this one with a couple of exceptions. So one exception is that it is a post. And another exception is that we do need a body. Maybe those are the only exceptions. And then inside here, whatever. So I kind of like that. Okay, I'm going to say this. At the beginning of the stream, I was talking about making custom on-the-fly dynamic rewards anyway. So whatever. We would have needed to learn how to do this anyway, so it's fine. I just did that wrong. Wait, what did I do? That's supposed to be a create custom reward. I thought I did that, but I guess I pasted over it. Okay. Maybe, I guess. Like, well, we probably could clean this up a little bit. The authentication stuff is still annoying though. There's a little bit too much custom nonsense in there. That would take work to make it where it would be easy for other people to do this and to authenticate. Not a insane amount of work. I know what we would need to do. We'd need a couple more endpoints. It's still annoying. All of the pieces, kind of annoying. So we're gonna post, we're gonna do all this stuff. We'll just create, we'll just add title and cost. Am I just cranky today? I don't know. Possible. Okay, wait. Here's the other thing I'm cranky about then. That error that it gave us, reward was created by a different client ID, or channel points are not available for the broadcaster. Neither of those were actually correct. Or, well, I see what they mean by this then. I think it could have been phrased a little better, but I guess that makes sense. It's just not very, it's not very detailed. Okay. So we just need to call this, we need to give it a title and a cost. So this is what we're going to call this. What should this reward be called? Axio, how's it going? You know, I can't even blame them that much on the documentation because making documentation sucks. But somebody's getting paid to do it, right? Somebody's job is to do that. Somebody's getting money. Okay, well, we need like a vibe check. I'm resetting on my grumpiness at the Twitch API. I think it could be more intuitive, but that's fine. Okay, so what do we actually need here? These are the things we care about. So the broadcaster ID is these two things, just go straight in. This one is called The Life Is Yours Told Me So. Is the name of the reward. Unfortunately, Life Is Yours, it costs 100,000 channel points. So I don't know if you can afford it. Sorry. So you may not be able to actually tell me so. I wonder if that's going to work, and I wonder if it's going to be really mad if I keep trying to recreate the same one. I don't know. Let's try. Let's try to break it. See what happens. I think I saw an error. Of course I did. Okay, so let's hide these. Let's fix this. Should I make it 1 million? How many channel points do you have, Life is Yours? That's weird. Wait, did I not do that right? Create custom reward. Must provide a valid content type or header with... Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Wait, that's easy. I just forgot to add that. So you should actually be create. And when we have JSON, we need this. I wonder what it's going to do, actually, if we just keep calling this. Because I don't care about doing it properly yet. Get a custom reward, create a custom reward. $2,000. Sorry, you can't afford this. Okay. What happens? Is it going to work? I'm going to click over here. Do I see it? The Life is Yours told me so appeared, redeem. It worked. We've fulfilled it. You've been fulfilled. So if I look here, it shouldn't actually be in, it should not be in this list because it was immediately fulfilled. These I can't. So then the thing that's really weird is if I go to the little channel points dashboard, does the custom one I made show up? Manage rewards, custom rewards. So I'm going to delete all of these other ones. Unfortunately, in the dashboard, it doesn't show anything different. I mean, it doesn't show it. I don't think it says who made this. Like, it doesn't seem to be any different than... Wow, it's kind of... Actually, it even picked your purple accidentally. I think that was just random. Maybe Twitch has a... Oh, that's cool. So they just automatically got removed. So if I add new ones, they should appear. So here's a question. The thing that's annoying, though, is like the user could just go in and delete this and then break the application. So the application would have to check every time to make sure that the custom things were there. Not super ideal. Default. We only have one emote. Okay, so here's the real question of the moment, at least. If I do this again, is it going to freak out? I hope so. Create custom reward, duplicate reward. So it must go by the title, so that's fine. I'm fine with just making erroneous rewards at the moment. So now, if we do this, I'm so confused. Okay, this. But we changed it to fulfilled. We should see all of those. No. Oh yeah, of course, because that was how do I do this? Let's redeem another one. Life is yours, told me so. Redeem for so much money. Its reward ID is this. Update retention status. Why didn't it update it? If I got a new one. Definitely think I got some bugs. So what is... Oh shoot, is this the reward ID? I wasn't actually paying attention. I should just list them. So list all the custom rewards. We should now only have one. So this is the only one. Oh no, okay. So we get, here is the list of the custom rewards. This is its ID, 5B, yeah. And so now we can list them and we can even see if they've been fulfilled. So that's good. But the thing that's weird is when I just tried to redeem one a second ago, why did it... Why did it say it was already fulfilled? Why will... I mean, these are only called once. These are only called once on startup. So the only thing we're actually running so we do this and then we do one. I mean, it seems like a bug on my end, but I don't know what the bug is. So we got one. Am I just logging this in two places or something? We added a word. Oh, I know why. That's silly. Oh, I think I know why at least. Update redemption status. Let's see. So we got one. It came in. Then we said we wanted to update the redemption status. And then it came back and it said that it has been fulfilled. But I saw that as needing to update it again. Because we're subscribed to this also. We're also subscribed to letting us know when it's updated. So we need to check and say if the only do the fulfill if it's unfulfilled. Which for some reason unfulfilled is in lowercase. But everywhere else, it told us to use uppercase everywhere. So we need to basically in here so this is data.event.status. How do you two lower in JavaScript? Do lowercase? Okay. So only if it's unfulfilled should we do this. Do we want to send it to the client either way? I don't think so. I think we don't want to. We actually don't really need to subscribe to that. But as far as like letting the client know, we only want to let the I think I noticed that bug yesterday actually, was seeing things twice sometimes, and I think this is why. Okay, this is a lot crammed inside this one little block, so we should probably clean that up at some point. Okay. It's redeem. What's the etymology of that? Buyback, ransom. Yeah, but what's the etymology? Etymology dictionary. From Old French? Oh, I guess it was in there. Oh, from Latin. So back is re. And emir? Read them and weep. Okay, so let's try this now. Life has sure told me so. Fulfilled. And now that should be fulfilled. Yes, so we said update retention status and we got the fulfilled. Okay, so we know how to make new. So what would be kind of funny? Here's an idea that I had that's just, it's just starting to brew. Just starting to think about it. But I think it would be kind of funny. Well, you don't need. Wait, you want to click the? You want to click them? You want to click the creating? Oh, you want to create rewards through heat. I see. Well, what I was just thinking is it would be kind of funny if rewards just got randomly created. Like if rewards just randomly showed up and then somebody had to redeem it. You could almost do like prizes that way, right? You could make prizes where if you had, if like we have it now connected to a chatbot, but if the chatbot was like, or on screen, whatever, you would just say, you'd alert somebody like, hey, we're making there's a new reward and there's only one of them and it's crazy. It's about to appear, and then it appears and whoever gets it gets it. Well, if you're clicking on the stream to redeem it, you're no longer using channel points. Unless you have to like buy the heat ability to click it. I don't think we want to do any screen clicking stuff. I don't think we want any heat. I think it all needs to be through the channel point interface, whatever you're doing. I wonder if anybody else does that. Like has totally dynamic channel points that just appear. Well, you're the one who's choosing to, right? The user is the one who's clicking the channel button and saying that you're redeeming your channel points. Yes, you are the one redeeming your channel points, and I'm just like fulfilling that or not fulfilling it, basically. So you could give away prizes like that or something. But only people who had enough channel points could do it or whatever. I kind of like that idea. The idea of let's just create. I mean, I don't want to do it just for prizes because it's kind of boring. I would want to do it for something kind of ridiculous. But where channel points just show up. Yeah, actually, that's I don't exactly know what Twitch wants you to make with this. Like, they don't seem to want you to make an extension, because it doesn't have to be an extension, and it's not like a. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing. It's just an app. It's just an app that you connect, the way you connect a bot or something to the Twitch API. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I don't necessarily like the prizes idea. I'm sure there's tons of ways to do that kind of thing. But the idea of those things getting created totally on the fly, I think, is sort of funny. I think it could be funny if they were random, if they just appeared randomly sometime. I'll have to think about it a little more. But now we have the ability to, because we now have the ability to create and delete them very easily. Or not, I won't say very easily because it's kind of annoying, but easy-ish. Had to think of what we'd want people to do with those. No, you could show an alert on screen or something. Like it could have an overlay that would say like, you know, new prize drop, whatever. If it again, I don't want to do prizes, but if it was prizes, you could have a thing appear on the stream and say, new prize party. Really curious what other. I feel like plenty of people are going to do like control my lights or whatever. Change my music and change my lights. I think is going to be a lot. I think there's going to be a lot of those. A thing that simplifies this API, I could see making that, but then it would be its own separate web service and it'd be kind of annoying. I think there's a ton. I think there's like 500, but I also think DevPost is kind of a community that people just follow tons of things. I don't know if people actually care. So this says 435 participants. I can't remember from Heat, but I want to say on Heat, like way fewer people actually did it versus how many people signed up, you know, like joined the hackathon. I want to say there were way fewer participants. There were also teams and stuff. So I don't know. I didn't actually go look at how many were in the gallery, but I feel like in counting how many were in the gallery, there were substantially less than there were who were participating. Rules. Resources. Broadcast live coding the Node.js example. Great. Oh, was there a Node.js example that I could have used? Oh no. Oh, this is a polling one. So this one polls. So this uses the API we did today. Oh, look at that. I didn't know you could do this with the Twitch command line. Well, heck. So this kind of does like, yeah, very similar to what we just did. They just do it based on polling. Wait, what? Oh, it just checks to make sure that they follow you or not? Interesting. So what do they create? Validate token. Yeah, I sure didn't do that. Add custom reward. What is got? Different HTTP request library. That doesn't seem too terribly different from what we're doing, but how are they doing? Add custom rewards, custom reward body. Sample, follow me, follows the requesting user. Wait, why would you spend what? Oh, I see. Oh, weird. Okay, you could spend your points to make me follow you. I could kind of see that if you were a big streamer and you just wanted to get attention or get your name on the screen, get your channel on the screen or whatever. I could see people wanting to spend some points to say like, hey, check out my channel. But in this one, it literally makes you, the broadcaster, follow them. And it just pulls and looks for any that are unfulfilled, and then it will follow, and then if you follow them, it gets marked as fulfilled. Yeah, fulfill rewards. This is slightly less verbose. Maybe we'll switch to GOT. That seems not too bad. I mean, this is much tighter, much less verbose than what we had to do. I never watch Twitch. I hate watching Twitch. There's too many ads. I watch archives on YouTube of Twitch streamers. I very rarely watch live YouTube stream or live Twitch streams because I don't want to pay for Twitch Prime and I don't like there's too many ads. I know it's sacrilegious that I would say that. I don't like watching Twitch while streaming on Twitch, but here we are. But that doesn't solve the problem. They're still showing the ads. I don't know. I'm not really into ad blocking. I'd rather just like not participate. And I don't care that much if it's live or not. I mean, I also don't like that my schedule has to adhere to somebody I want to watch. So I can just watch the streamers I want to watch whenever they watch, whenever I want to, after they've uploaded to YouTube, which most anybody that I watch does. Okay. Oh, I didn't know about GOT. GOT is kind of cool. Had we found this earlier, it might have made things slightly clearer. The token is still annoying, though. Like, they're just using... Oh, well, I guess, okay. I guess that kind of makes sense. Everything they're doing uses the user token because they're not using event sub. They're polling. So they're specifically not using event sub. But that does, I'm a little disappointed to see this because the way they do it does kind of make it seem like this might make people want to do the add customer reward. I mean, they're kind of doing the stuff that I was thinking of is like get the validate the token, get all the rewards, look inside them for the one we want to make just by matching the title, and then make one. Although this only does it once. I mean, this only does it at startup, and what I'm imagining is something that is constantly changing the rewards. If I want to interact with people on Twitch, I just stream, and then I get to be on this side of the interaction. Yeah, what do we want to do? It would be very easy to hook this up to an overlay. I mean, we already have because we hooked it to bot made this, but so hook it to some kind of overlay to do stuff on screen. I really like the idea of like adding and removing rewards all the time, or making more rewards get more expensive as people use them. Like you could have the price like going up and down like a stock market, like buying and selling. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think we're going to win this hackathon by basing something on another extension. I think this needs to be a very specific, I think this wants to be its own package. I think. And I mean, I guess I could build this into Heat in some way. Like the idea of paying for clicks, I think is not a bad one, but I don't think that that's the way to get $10,000. I think the way to get $10,000 is to either make something very useful, which sounds boring, or weird enough that people might want to try it out, and then maybe also some, spin off some semi-useful tools or something. I really wish I had seen this example at the beginning of today, and it would have made some things easier, but oh well. Yeah, the betting and gambling part is interesting. Or gamifying it would not be that hard. It's just, do I want to make a game? I don't know. There's not very much time left. No, I mean, I wouldn't want to make a traditional game. Maybe some kind of, for that kind of experience, you either need a way that it is inherently multiplayer, or you have to do the democracy stuff like we did for Heat, where a bunch of people could click and like decide something. I think I would rather it be inherently multiplayer, or like multi-user, like everybody who does something does something. I mean, we could feed the bevy. It could be a way to feed the bevy. It could be an alternate bevy is hungry, where you pick the snacks that you feed. That would be very easy and kind of funny. No, there's no clicks. There's no clicks. This is not Heat. There's no clicking. You don't need clicking. No clicks. You would like buy a donut, and a donut would appear on the screen, and then the bevy would appear and eat the donut. For example, as an example. I'm not saying that's what I want to make, but there's no click. No Heat. Heat is not involved in this. There's no Heat. Actually, what do channel points look like on mobile? Because Heat is terrible on mobile. Cold. I know it's cold. It's sad. I really don't think that's a way to win. You don't win a hackathon by using your tool from the last hackathon. I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, but I believe that. How do you think this works? If I'm watching this video, is it part of chat? Yes, it is. So I do this, and do this. Yeah. So that actually is better. That's a better experience on mobile than Heat ever was. Heat was always terrible on mobile. So it would not at all be hard to just build Heat. It would not be hard to build a fish tank, for example. I was joking about that earlier, but it would not be hard to build a fish tank where you could feed the fish. And if you paid more, you could add your own fish. Whatever. I don't think that's a winner. I think it needs to be a little more general. Yeah, it's the grid-based thing that we used for the event. I don't think I'm even processing those currently. I never really wanted Heat to have mobile because I think it's just not good. Unless they've added video overlay, but almost certain they have not. I should just pull it out one day if I cared, but I don't. I don't care. Maybe next time I work on Heat, if I ever work on it again, I'll do it. Well, yeah. To me, the biggest problem was they made some choices at the last minute about the tuning of it so that it musically kind of had nothing to do with what they were doing on stage, which was the biggest bummer. But I also think it wasn't necessarily the best use of it, but that's fine. Whatever. It happened. I got a little bit of money for it. Okay. Life is yours. What are we doing here? I think maybe I'm done for today. I think we figured some stuff out. We have some new understanding. I kind of want to switch everything to GOT now. Game of Thrones. I think I just need to dwell on it. The idea of total nonsense, ridiculousness, sounds pretty good. I mean, in terms of I just thought of a problem. And anyway, of like just generating new rewards and changing the prices of them and changing the names of them and whatever. Oh my gosh, no, go to bed. It's not that important. We can be done. We can be done. Thank you for hanging out. Life is yours. Thank you for stopping by. Who else stopped by? Axial stopped by. I feel like I was cranky today. Apologize for the crankiness. But, you know, working with APIs sometimes just makes you a little cranky. But I see a path forward. I see two paths forward. One of them is clear, but I don't think it's very as exciting. But like, oh my gosh, what? Okay, yeah, go to bed. I mean, I'm done. We're done here. It's done. The two paths forward are either something like feeding the baby or fish tank or whatever, like some toy, on-screen toy, which would be very easy to build for sure. We could build that all with, what was that called? Pixie.js? What's it called? This. Like, it would not be hard to build some little gallery of toys. We only have like 2 weeks though, so it wouldn't be a big gallery, but a couple of examples, for example. Or try to build something weird with dynamic whatever they're called, rewards. Which actually is the thing that sounds interesting to me, and it's the thing that sounds like it has potential to win a contest. So one thing is straightforward and kind of limited, but clear. Like the path forward is pretty clear. And the other thing is more kind of, I don't know. I'd have to think hard about it. I mean, but face filters, then I have to have some way setting up the software to do that. I'm sure somebody's going to do that. Like somebody is definitely going to do hats or some face filters or whatever. I think I probably would. I don't think I want to do that. I thought you were going to bed. Go to bed. I'll go to bed. Everybody go to bed. We'll think about it again. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Have a lovely rest of your day. Goodbye.